It's time to get your checking account to zero with free checking from PenFed. That's zero ATM fees, zero balance requirements, and zero time spent waiting for your paycheck to direct deposit because you can receive it up to 2 days early. Open your account with just $25 and see how big zero can be. Apply online today at PenFed.org/free checking. Early direct deposit eligibility may vary between pay periods and timing of payers' funding. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are intolerant to weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. I was motivated to read The River Why, which is one of my favorite books, last couple days. Went on a solo hunt. I'm finishing out the solo hunt. Camped last night. Wind was real bad. Last night, saw a couple does pop, but no bucks. Then this morning, went out. Got up at around 3:30. Stayed in the tent about 4 because there just really wasn't any light at all. I didn't want to bump something that I couldn't shoot before there was enough light. So ended up laying on a rock watching the sunrise, which was pretty sweet. And waited for deer to pop, but they didn't. So anyway, the River Why. There are two things that kind of resonate with me. One is kind of you're asking your questions, what's the point of all this, and what's the purpose, and what's the source. So that's what kind of like solo hunting, because you get to get out and you get to kind of just be alone with those sort of questions in the down times. You know, when you're hunting, you can be on your game and you're making a stalk, your glass. You know, you're pretty dialed in. The mind doesn't wander too much, but there's going to be points in a solo hunt where, you know, it's just you and the hike, you and the miles, and so you can kind of let that wander. And I think there's a lot of things that you kind of have to ask yourself. A lot of times you have to ask them more than once, or at least I do. I'm sure there's some people who don't ask themselves any sort of question about what's the point of all this. You know, what's the purpose? What's the source? What's my soul? But a lot of us have to kind of look at that question, and once you find your soul, just kind of look at your soul and see what's going on. So it's. I know it sounds totally depressing. It sounds like I'm like some depressed dude that needs the outdoors. But no, it's just refreshing. It's nice to be out, and everything is on your own terms. The noise is your own noise. Everything is on your own. Except for if you're hunting anywhere near Ketchikan, it's not going to be all your own noise. You're going to have float planes flying overhead. Like there's one just flew overhead right there. But I think it's important to ask and to reassure, you know, why do I do this, and why am I doing what I'm doing? Well, I like to write about that a lot, not necessarily because I like to write about it, but because I think that's just a question that I have sometimes, and you have to reevaluate. Otherwise, you just get in this routine of doing the same stuff because you've done the same stuff, you know. And well, why do you do it? Do you really have an answer why? So the hunting thing is, you know, you get frustrated. You don't see a buck. I didn't see a buck today. Last night, nothing. You can get definitely frustrated, but it's just nice to be outside and be free of the craziness that goes on. You know, there's not a whole lot of craziness in Ketchikan because it's a pretty small town, but still you're connected with all the nonsense that humans create. You know, if you were to look at your phone or look online right now, just the crazy, the nonsense, the stuff that some people don't have an escape from. If you live in an urban setting, you can't get away from that. You can't get away from that. It's just there all the time. You can't go to the store without being confronted with it. You just can't do anything without being confronted by it. You can't leave. You can't drive 2 hours to get away from it and escape and then go on a hike totally alone. So it's nice to be isolated from that. It's not that you're not involved, disengaged, or that you don't care. It's that the only thing you can really do in some cases is to just refresh yourself as much as possible so the people who are around you can, or so you're happy, right? And it's not just to be selfish, but, you know, if you're happy, then, you know, you might have a bigger impact on the people who are around you. You know, what can I do about, you know, the fires in California? I can go online and I can, you know, rail or comment about how it's someone's fault or someone else's fault, but that really doesn't help anything. There's a lot of issues and things in the Ketchikan area that could probably use my attention more than that, and I could have a bigger impact on, rather than just adding to the anger on social media. But yeah, if you want to comment on that, it's fine. You can do whatever you want. So the isolation is nice to just kind of sit and think about it. It's some people say that it's scary or it's dangerous. Well, yeah, I guess, but driving a car is dangerous too. Driving a car in California is really dangerous. I've been on enough solo hunts, and I've been out with enough. I'm pretty new at hunting still, but I've been out with some experts and some not guys who call themselves experts. I think anybody who calls themselves an expert, I'm a little wary about trusting them, because why do you have to call yourself an expert? Why can't you just let your experience and your knowledge speak for itself? If someone else calls you an expert, if someone that I respect calls you an expert, then dude, you're money. But I don't know, people spend so much time self-promoting themselves, and that I don't, not a big fan of that. But I've learned from some people who definitely know what they're doing, and so I keep my solo hunts are pretty novice in comparison. I keep it places that I've been before multiple times. Just one night more than likely, and usually places with cell phone reception. My solo fishing trips are a little bit different. I'll take my skiff out to a spot that doesn't have cell phone reception. I'll go out there to fish for steelhead. But, you file a plan, tell people where you're going, tell people when you're going to be back, and it's fine. You can't just wait around for, things to be right for everybody to be able to make it. Sometimes it's, you take some of the risk, and you just go out and do it, rather than sit around and wait for, all the weather to be right and all the conditions to be perfect, and then get everybody together and you just got to make it happen sometimes. However, that leads me to the second point of the River Why, was when Gus goes to the cabin, tries to do this ideal schedule and tries to fish and remove everything from his life that's not fishing related. And he discovers not that the better life is maximizing fishing, it's people. And if there's a line that says too much of a good thing is a bad thing. The person who only fishes once a month thinks that 10 times the fishing is going to mean 10 times the fun or the impact. Well, that's not necessarily true. My buddies come up from California, they love fishing, and they have so much excitement. They have a year's worth of excitement into that 1 week that they get to go. So doing what you love to do is great, but, living with other people is also important too, and meeting them on their own terms. And it's nice to remember that, and to not just kind of get in your own quiet routine, your own space, your own noise. It's nice to put yourself out there a little bit and get some people together for some coffee or for a hike, or just sit in front of I had Zach come over a couple nights ago, and we just sat in front of my boat, and just chatted about the upcoming school year, and just nice. It's just nice to sit around and socialize with people rather than lock yourself up in your own little bubble. So that's kind of what River Why. Tons of other stuff. I mean, that book is so great. There's a lot of other stuff that I could rail about, but I don't want to be here for too long. It's kind of weird. I'm partway down the mountain. It was super, super windy, and so I'm kind of scouting, glassing across this little area at a muskeg that might be a good spot for rut. So I wonder what's happening between me and that spot. Anyway, so I do want to share a couple other things that I've kind of learned from this summer. Again, not an expert, but just as someone else who's trying to figure this stuff out. One of the first things was with gear. I bought some new gear, First Light gear. I have a hoodie that I love. It's the Kiln hoodie, and then the Obsidian pants. Love the Obsidian pants. I tore the Obsidian pants in two spots. One of them would have been protected if I'd been wearing gaiters. That's my fault for forgetting the gaiters. There are people who really expect gear that's going to be, even if it's somewhat expensive, if it's real expensive, people really expect it. But even if it's somewhat expensive, and it says that it's heavy duty, or says that it's tear resistance, or said that it's strong, that it's totally immune to being torn. And so I was more disappointed in myself tearing the pants than I was the pants tearing. That buckbrush up in the alpine, those branches that stick out. They just grab a hold of stuff, and I was moving my leg forward to take a step, so there was no way I was going to avoid it. And it caught the material, and it tore, and that's to be expected. I know they make tough stuff, and you want stuff to be, not just fall apart. My buddy Jake had some frog togs. They lasted 30 seconds on a hike. As soon as he stepped down at a weird angle, they tore. But anyway, so these pants are great. They probably would have held up in that instance if I'd have been wearing the gaiters. So you just got to, the rule is buy gear that's good, but make sure you wear it for the correct setting. That's kind of the lesson I learned. I knew that lesson, that lesson, but make sure that you wear it in the correct setting. I put holes in waders that were expensive waders because I slid down on my butt on some gravel and some rocks. Well, yeah, you do that enough, you're going to put some holes in stuff. People slide down mountains on their butts or shale rock, things like that, in Gore-Tex pants, and they wonder why there's rips in the pants. Well, yeah, it's going to happen.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
So keep that in mind when you're buying new stuff. Buy good, expensive stuff that's going to last, but then know at some point it's going to break down. Boots are going to leak. That's just stuff happens. That's part of the expected. So when you go and if you're going to upgrade from your basic starter camo whatever stuff to some more performance type gear, know that that's going to happen. So though I tore my First Light pants, still love them. Great stuff there. Trekking poles. Coming back down the mountain with Cody, he broke both of his trekking poles. Mine stayed together, and I had one where I stepped and I fell, and all my weight was on the trekking pole, and it swung and still stayed together. They're both black diamonds, and I think the difference might be that his were the adjustable ones, and mine were the fixed height. And so while the fixed height, obviously it's fixed height, you can't adjust them, but I think that makes them more flexible. And so the strain when you're going down and you put things at a weird angle, maybe they're stronger. I don't know. Again, I don't know the physics behind it, but my black diamond non-adjustables have held up amazing in some really, really tight spots and at some really bad angles. So adjustable trekking poles, I don't know, might want to look out for those. Got a new Stone Glacier pack, love it. It's one of the larger models, and so that just means that I'm bringing more stuff, which is kind of too bad. On this hike, I do not have my bag full because I didn't need a lot of food. I just went overnight, so I just had 3 sandwiches and some snacks. The top lid kind of flops back behind it because it's meant to be, have a lot of stuff in it. So when it doesn't have a lot of stuff in it, that top hood doesn't, or that top flap doesn't really sit real well. But other than that, it's fine. You just figure it out. It's not a big deal. So definitely like the Stone Glacier pack. I upgraded from the old Cabela's. I think that every hunter at some point has had the Cabela's frame pack. I loved it, and it was great. But just the amount of the way this can secure the weight, and the way that it carries meat, and the way that it snugs to your back is awesome. I've heard a lot of people talk about the two most important parts of your gear are your optics and then your bag, your pack. Like, just get good ones of those for sure. Boots, I'm sure people would also say that'd be an important one as well. But I love this pack, Stone Glacier. It's good. In my research, I found that you really can't go wrong whether you buy a Kafaru or you go Stone Glacier or Mystery Ranch or whatever. So it's really what you individually prefer. And people are going to say they run Stone Glacier and they switched from Kafaru. That doesn't mean Kafaru is bad. Some people went the other way from Stone Glacier to Kafaru. Whatever, man. It's whatever you like. So I like the Stone Glacier, recommend it, but you got to figure out what you want for yourself. I think the biggest thing was I was able to try on this Stone Glacier. We don't have a lot of sporting goods stores up here that have these sort of packs. I think the biggest thing was I got to try it on. If there would have been one of all three right there, maybe I went to Mystery Ranch. Who knows? But choose a pack that's good for you. Love it. As far as optics go, Vortex, it's been great. Another season with them. Love the clarity of the image, man. I started off with some really, really cheap binos, and you just couldn't tell what anything was. I thought I was looking at a doe, but there's spikes, and it just terrible. If you want to make a move on a deer, it's good to have good optics. I got the 1042 razors, awesome, love them. Got a spotting scope as well. So that's what I run. Sitka pants and Sitka rain gear, whatnot. But again, I bought some First Light stuff, and it's pretty good. I like that as well. So learning gear, buy good stuff. There's your tip. Tip for food. I'd never eaten deer heart before. That was pretty good. That's definitely part that I'm going to be saving from here on out. On this last hunt, two of us were down near the truck, and then Cody and I went up into the alpine and brought back a heart, and along with the rest of the deer, of course. And I just cut it up, fried it up on the jet boil, which was great. It was great. A couple of parts I overcooked a little bit, but I just cut them into slices and then cut them up, and it was good. It tasted like meat, but not like beef meat. It tasted like an organ, which it is. But yeah, it was really good, and it was I had it with some onions, and it was good. The guys liked it as well. As far as meals on the mountain, I really just keep going with sandwiches. Taking a mountain house, because then you have to get the jet boil, you get your MSR or whatever, you have to get all that stuff up there, just extra weight. So I really just taking a couple sandwiches and then some snacks, makes it super light. If you're camping near a truck or you have unlimited, for whatever reason, space or a boat, then yeah, get a mountain house and cook that up and get a warm meal in it. So when I go steelhead fishing, I'll definitely do that. But for mountain hunts, just a couple sandwiches and some snacks are the way to go. It's been not weird, I guess, but in comparison to last year, it was a really hot opener, and the weeks leading up to the opener were really hot, so all the snow was pretty much gone. So as far as scouting, I was asking some buddies, what they're looking for at this point. It's going to be so hot. What are the bucks going to be doing? What are the deer going to be doing? And there were some people that were seeing them down on the shore already. Some nice 3-4 point bucks that are down on the shore. They might live there. Bucks don't have to go to the alpine. Some the swamp donkeys live down there. So there were some people who said they're not going to go to the alpine because the bucks have moved down because of the heat. Which, all right, that made sense. Then people go up to the alpine and they're shooting some big bucks, and the bucks we got were in the alpine. The biggest things that I was looking at, one was looking for snow. I figured that bucks would like to be in the snow, running the same program, the early morning, early afternoon, but I saw some bucks in the snow in the middle of the day. So it makes sense. It's noon, it's 2 in the afternoon, which is about the heat of the day. But if you can lay on snow, you're going to be in good shape. So seeing bucks out in the middle of the day because there was snow was big to see, to just know that that's part of the program. Early morning, and even then it might not happen. So those days where it was a week in a row and it was hot, that early morning, I wasn't seeing a whole lot. Some of my other buddies saw some for sure. You can, but you just got to work for them. And then as far as the weather changes, hunting the weather changes, I was told to do the immediate weather change, and that worked out for Cody now. So rather than, it rained on Friday and rained Saturday morning. So rather than go out Sunday, the day after it had rained, we were hiking on Saturday while it was still raining. It was miserable, but when we got up there, as soon as the rain broke and as soon as the wind stopped, deer started popping. It was immediately after. It wasn't like the day after. So when people talk about hunting the weather change, it worked out for us to be hunting immediately after the weather change. So there's some tips, I guess. There's some things that you can glean in there, maybe. If not, then and you knew that, then it's great, wonderful. So that'll do it for this episode. I'm going to continue heading down this mountain. It's breezy, but not intolerable. Sunny, nice, warm. So I don't know what that means for the bucks, but I'm going to try to stay out here a couple more hours and then head back in, get a shower, and get reacquainted with civilization. Got a couple more, about a week and change until school starts. That'll be crazy. But make sure you go to themediocrealaskan.com for content. If you have questions or comments or things like that, you can go to Alaska Lund on Instagram. And we'll talk to you next time.